with such a talented team. So welcome to our Sprint 25 product demo. The demo will follow the format that most of you will be familiar with. So what we'll do is we'll have a little look at what we accomplished in the sprint. I'll be talking about our accomplished goals. Then I will pass it over to Irena, our new product owner, to talk a bit about the business context. Andrew Schwenker will then be doing a demo. So the demo today will just be a little bit different in that one of the concerns we've heard from you is that sometimes it's difficult for people to connect the dots in an end-to-end sort of way. So Schwenker will kind of give us a quite high-level overview of the workflow from an end-to-end perspective so that we can see everything that's been built to date. Then I'll talk a little bit about Sprint 26 goals, and then we're going to have some time at the end for questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat, and we will address them at the end. If we don't get to them, you can always add them to the mural board, which you're all familiar with. We can put the link in the chat for those of you who don't have it. Okay, so let's start with Sprint 25 goals. What did we achieve? So from the development side, we've been digging into reassessment. We did an initial analysis of what reassessment will look like. On the student side, we looked at the welcome page and how students upload documents. Those are the features we were developing. Ministry side, how the ministry views the application details and manages designation. And then from the design, we started looking at how institutions and students report changes or edit programs after confirmation of enrollment and some enhancements to the application. From the QA side, we have a pretty good strategy in place, at least to start. Obviously, that's something that will continue to evolve, and the test environment has been set up. So testing is something that we'll be doing a lot more of. So that gives you an overview of Sprint 25. I'll just hand it over to Irena now for some of the business context.
Thanks, Teresa. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for all of your support. This team is a team of really hard workers, and we accomplished a lot. So right now, what I have to share with you is that officially, we have a new timeline. So we are launching in spring 2023. So that's official. We managed to lock the scope for MVP, which is scope for launched in spring 2023, and I will be sharing some details with you. So from now on, if there are any changes to scope, it will follow the official process. So it will need to be a decision note. It needs to be triaged on the highest level. So we are sure that there are some valid points why are we actually bringing that to scope, which apparently will mean that if you are adding something to scope, timeline might change or money will change. So there are some things that scope will affect eventually. There is a, I know that we cannot say beautiful, but there is a spreadsheet. We created a spreadsheet which has details in regards to MVP scope. The spreadsheet was used to capture point in time as of today, what is in the scope, and it will not be updated after. So we'll be using ZenHub as source of truth. All the tickets that are in ZenHub will be worked on. All the epics that you have, everything that is changing, updating. If there is a new epic that is right now in ZenHub, which has a lot of details and we need to adjust something, we'll be doing that in the ticket. Nothing will be done in the spreadsheet. We'll have, I know that some of you are not familiar with ZenHub. I was not as well, but I learned it's easy, totally easy. So we'll have a session for champions and feature owners to walk you guys through all of that. So you have a better understanding, and if you need to find some details, you can go in and double check it. What else? Great thing that I can let you know is that we are starting our QA in the Sprint 26. So when I shared the spreadsheet with you and when I when I flag things that are actually closed or done means ready for testing. So all of these features will be tested starting Sprint 26. And yes, institution accessibility audit is done. We met with GDX. They shared their suggested solutions with us, and we'll be working on that starting Sprint 26. And right now, I'll share my screen with you guys. Okay. Andrew, I think, or Teresa, you need to give me control.
Ah, okay. Oh, yes.
You should just be able to take it, Irena.
I can't.
Can you request control?
I did already, but I
Okay.
can't.
I can project the spreadsheet.
Sure thing. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Give me 1 second.
Tab 2, please. Tab 3,
Tab.
actually. Details.
Tab 3. I don't think I have the right version in front of me.
Andrew, can you please present?
Sorry, I don't have it to hand. I have an earlier iteration.
Okay. Here we go. I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so this is nothing totally new. We used some of the documents that were created before. Once this project started, there was a business architecture. Alys and the team worked so hard to create everything. Business worked so hard to gather all the requirements that we need, acceptance criteria for tickets. So we used what was there, and we used what is in ZenHub. So merge these two, and this is the final version of what we have. So right now, what you can see is in this spreadsheet, there is a level that is called project, which is called theme in the business architecture, just for you guys to know how this aligns. And then after that, we have epic level. We have epic description, so you know what is in every epic, and we have tickets associated with every epic. So how we separated this is we do have a student account, we do have an application, we do have institution side of the story, we have ministry user, and we have technical tickets. So inside the first project, which is student account, we do have some of the epics, which are create and update student account. This is like we start with that. We are student needs to log in, then we need to provide some information, update that information. We have that home page for the student. Then we need to verify student information. There is some validations happening, like SIN validation. We do need to do PD verification, income verification, credit check. Inside this project, we do have managed student account communication, where a student can see messages, upload some files. Then we have restrictions as well. Then after that, we go to the application level. On the application level, we have a possibility for student to create and update the application, select start dates, answer questions, save draft, cancel application, edit application. All of these are basic features, as you can see, everything that you talked about in the past. So we have, after that, we are collecting supporting student information, where we have program information request, we have parent and partner information request, then we are assessing the application, confirming enrollment, disbursing funds, and we do have, then after that, this is something that we are working on currently, which is requesting a change or reassessment. And we have student application exceptions. Inside the institution account, we need to create and update institution account, the same thing that we have for students. We create and update institution locations. Institutions have ability to add users. We have designations, and we have managing education programs and offerings. In regards to ministry account, We have the ministry can create their account, log in, log off. They have the welcome page. Then we have the ability for a ministry user to manage student information, to manage institution details, and to manage financial records. So, and after that, we have a project for all the technical tickets. Technical tickets are this is just the capture of the beginning of technical tickets that they're created so far, and we do have some additional ones that are added that are currently in works or open, but it will be more of them to come. So in regards to technical tickets, this epic will increase and we'll have more of them, and that will not follow the official process as we go. So as all of you guys know, we need to go through some additional things to set up the environments to make sure that everything is ready for our launch. What I want you guys to see is there are a lot of greens in this spreadsheet. Greens are closed tickets. That's something that the team already did. So Andrew, if you can actually do the comparison of, like, just filter tickets that are closed comparing to tickets that are open. So you can see that our majority of them are at this point in time closed. That doesn't mean that we are ready for launch. That actually means that a lot of things are done. These done are ready to be tested. When they will go through the QA, eventually there will be some bugs. We'll be addressing bugs, but they will be linked to every single epic they're associated with. Open tickets, some of these tickets are still to be defined, still to be clarified in regards to acceptance criteria. So we'll be talking with business to make sure that everything is properly captured, and after that they will be brought to the product team to properly estimate. Some of these tickets will be like small piece of work, but some of them, like reassessments, it's a huge amount of work. And we'll be doing that like in iterations, and everything will be released as we go, and everything will be done in the subsequent sprints as we go, and will be tested once it's done. So this spreadsheet, as I said, is a point-in-time capture of the MVP scope. It will be shared with all of you guys. It will be actually uploaded in our institution website, so it will be completely visible, and you guys can go in, double check what's in, what's out. If you have any questions or any comments, please share that with us. You have our mailbox. You can share that on the mural board, feedback mural board, however you want. You can send emails to me. That's totally fine. We're totally open for feedback. But what I want to make sure is this is just the beginning. This is MVP. I remember I talked to executives and I shared this with them, and I'm like, we are not building a beautiful butterfly. At the end, it will be, but this is a caterpillar, but it will be a functional one. So it will be okay. We will have a functional system that will work. And then after that, we will just continue with upgrading the system and making it more beautiful. We'll be updating the transition plan as well. So that's something that will be the next level. Once we have scope right now, we'll be working on estimating that to make sure that everything is inside the timelines. And then after that, we'll be updating transition plan and sharing that with you guys. Thank you very much. And now I'll hand it over to Andrew to walk you through what was built so far. And it's a lot.
Was that the last on your list, Irena?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. So going through today's demo, it will be a little different. Just a few things to caption. I do have a very simple list here of some things to go through. So there are some platform updates happening this morning, unfortunately, so there might be a couple blips here and there, just for some mandatory security things that they're upgrading. So there might be a couple blips. As well, most of this you have seen before, so I will try and put a little more emphasis on the stuff that we did this sprint, and I'll call those ones out. But let's just get started here. I'm not going to follow this order in particular. I'm going to try and make it sort of as journey-like as possible. So I have logged into all 3 accounts at the same time. I have a student here that's logged in. I have an institution here that's logged in. And I have a ministry account here that's logged in. So what's going to happen first is a student. This is my test student, a student coming in for the first time to create an account. What they look like, they're going to come here and log in. I've seen this before. Just grabbing some account information. So they're going to come here and they're going to fill out this form. Very similar to how they do now. They're going to put in their SIN. This will get validated, so you can't have something like this. It has to be correct, mandatory fields, and hit save. Once that's done, actually, I think I have one I can pull up super quick. Here, just grabbing a SIN number. Perfect. Throw SIN, just put in some information here. So you'll see once the account is created, there will be this banner. This basically means that we are validating the student's SIN number. I'm going to just log into my account that has passed SIN validation, just so we can keep going here. I'm going to try and not bounce around too much, but I likely will. We are still logging in as a student. This student, if I grab the right one, should be my ready to go student. They have a valid SIN, so they can click start new application. Their account's ready to go. They're going to start an application for program year 21-22 and start. Again, most of this you have seen before, and say they want to go to a institution called Alys Hair Cutting Salon or something. As you see, that school's not there. If their school is not there and they click this, the institution has to be there and has to be designated to show up on the list. So with that in mind, we are going to, you can also see that the application is now in draft, is we're going to go create that institution. Now, what we're going to do is just to shortcut this a bit, because I did run through this morning and we will be here for hours if we go through everything. And I know no one wants to hear me talk that much. So when we try and create a new institution, they're going to get this form. It's going to look very similar. So you have your name, your last name, and your legal operating name, which comes from BCEID. They have to log in with the business BCID for us to get this information. Go through, they can enter in their institution type, all of this information, and hit submit. Once their institution's created, so I'm just gonna skip some of this and log into one that's been created. They're gonna land here. Their locations will be empty, but this is my account. So they're gonna come here and put in a institution. Alys Hair Cutting Salon. Fill out all this mandatory information. And you will see it in the list. Now, that's not the one we're going to use for the example. We're going to use my awesome School of Coolness here, which is in the list here. This institution, now what we're going to do is set up a program. I want to set up a arts program. So you're going to create a new program, fill out this information. There are certain questions which is only for a BC private, which is this guy here. Oops, sorry. So we, let's say, created a program, this guy here. We're then going to create an offering, a study period. We're going to put in a study period, study, I'll just go summer intake, put in the year of study, it'll be full time. We want to show the year of study to students, go through again, all this has been shown before. We're going to put in the start dates, and then it will be created. So you'll see there's two offerings here, one for fall starting in September 2022 and one in March. Now, we are going to go back to the student, which is this browser. I'm just going to delete this just to start clean. 21, 22, and hit go. This institution now is going to go to my school. We're going to be full time. We're going to go to arts, and we're going to be taking this 2021 test for demo, which starts tomorrow. I was not prepared, so I'm applying today. We're going to go through, answer all these questions. All this has been shown before. Right, this part's the like watching paint dry part. I'm just going to be single, no kids. I made, let's just say, $40,000 last year. Give consent. No, 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 no. And sorry, very exciting. Great, great, great. No, no, no. No, no. Next, and confirm and submit. Now, when an application is submitted, you will see it is in progress. For those that know, obviously we have a couple of UI bugs here and there. At this point, when it's in progress, we are checking 5 things roughly. Credit check, which is not currently implemented yet. That's one of those tickets on the spreadsheet that's open. Program information request, basically was there missing program information. This one, if you guys saw, I picked an actual offering here and a program, so I do not need to do a program information request. Parent information, based off the questions provided, I was not a dependent student, so therefore I didn't need to provide parent information, and the same thing with marital status, so I don't need to provide partner information. The last one is income. Income check for a student. Basically, we go off right now and verify their information with CRA. This one in our test environment, which is where I'm testing, is always done for every student, no matter what. So right now, the reason why it's sitting in progress is because it is waiting to do an income verification. Now I'm going to go through just the normal path for a student, then note some captions because, again, we will be here for hours. Just give me 1 second. Going through, what I am doing right now on just my other screen is I am manually going through and basically pretending that the CRA has responded already to me for the income for this student. Second. Sorry, just 1 second. It's this guy. Everyone, just take a second. Have any cool music going on? No elevator music?
I was just going to remind people, if they have any questions, please do put them in the chat.
Yes, as you're going,
Yeah.
the questions will be noted on the side. So if there is, please ask away. So if I did this correctly, what will happen now is this application, once this is done, will be in assessment. So this means that the application has been assessed, the income's been verified. At that point, all those sort of gates have been passed, the PIR, the parent, the partner, the income, and the credit. Credit obviously not in yet. That is now good to go. The student has to come in here and confirm their assessment. Again, we have seen this before. So as you'll see what they're eligible for, the amounts, all the NOA stuff. This student is going to have 2 disbursements. Here is their breakdown of the values we use for the assessment and their awards, and we're going to confirm their assessment. I know this is going quick, but again, this part has been seen before. Now it is in enrollment. So now comes the institutions part again. We're going to go back to my awesome school here, and you will see on confirmation enrollment, one is required and the other one is here. This is my student, that's the application number. This one, you can come in here and you can't do anything because it's not within the 21-day window. Also, you have to confirm the first one first. So you can come here and you can confirm or decline the request. And that's it. In this case, once you hit confirm, that payment is now ready to go for the student. I'm not going to do that just in case I have to roll back the application, but that would be the last step there for the student. Their application then would move to completed, and then we just have to wait for the other confirmation of enrollment to come up. That is the happiest path for a student. It was the most ideal basic student possible and went through to confirmation of enrollment. At this point, a ministry person, sorry, what is my person's name? Person's name is 1. You can see they have this application here, which is an enrollment, and there's a student application here and the student details. This is one we did this sprint here. So there's student, there is no parent information. So there's no buttons for parents, and there's no partner information. So there's no buttons there. Situation where there is, you will see more buttons there to view those submitted forms, which we had shared in a previous demo. If at this point, the basically the payment hasn't gone out or anything, there are restrictions here for a student that you can see. If at any point something happens, and I'm just going to pick a restriction at random, again, we've shared this one before, stop payments. What this will do is that just added a restriction to the student. If I come back to myself as the student, you'll see your account has a hold on it. You can't submit, you can't edit, you can't cancel, you can't do anything. However, if something is in progress, it will keep going, but the payments can never go out. The actual files that we send to the National Student Loan Service Center will never go out, because if you have a restriction on your account, it will not go out. So that's restriction. I am going to just remove this restriction. I'll just say oops, and you can see the history here for a restriction going through. Awesome. Now, something I actually missed, because I'm trying to do this all here, is a feature that we did complete this sprint, which is designation. So you'll see all these little badges here. The badges are hard-coded right now. They are not final, but we have this. This one was demoed last sprint, but this is where an institution would actually get designated. There are a couple output tickets here to fix some badges and fix the dropdown, because I did just apply to an institution that was not designated technically, which is one thing we have to add, which we do have. This institution is now going to request designation for this location only. As you see, this is the list of every location here. I am also a legal authorized authority, so I can go ahead and do that. Legal signing authority, I think. I always get it mixed up. I'm going to request it for this institution specifically. I'm going to put Lynn as my eligibility officer. It's a good thing I don't fill out these forms because I can't spell. And it's going to be Lynn at gov.bc.ca and 555-555-5555. And I'm going to put Alys as my enrollment officer. And it's going to be Alys at gov.bc.ca 2222222. You're going to have to confirm the agreement documentation. As you see, I did miss one. Clicking here, every form follows this, or basically every form follows this. So if you missed a mandatory field, it will get flagged for you that you have to do. At this point, you will see a pending designation with no start date, no expiry date, and you can go back in and view the request here. You cannot re-request if there is one pending until that one is complete. Now, what's going to happen is at this point, this location should not be on that drop-down list, which you did just see that I did, but that's one that will have to be resolved, that I shouldn't have actually been able to pick that institution. Now we're going to go to a ministry view for that account and make them designated. So I need to know who I'm dealing with, which is College F. And you will see, once you're here and under designation, you will see this designation. This is the same table as their view. That's one way you can do it. There's also this view here, which you can click to see every pending designation from all the institutions. So you don't have to know specifically which one you're dealing with, but if you're on the phone with one, you can go to the actual institution itself, or if you're in that, you can go. We're gonna click here and view it. As you see, this is all the information here. Exactly as the user provided, you have my name, my email, all the text, all that stuff. For BC privates, this part exists. For the other institution types, it does not. Again, I'm not going to go through every example here. And at this point, a ministry person can approve or decline. I'll show you that in one sec. You can, before you approve or decline, go through and you can check institutions. We're going to go College F. Again, there are other ways to get points from different things. And I'm going to see he applied for this location. Great. And he has a program. Let's see, does he? And he does. He has a program and an offering. That was not the correct one. Which one am I in here? Is it arts? Is that the one? We do have some enhancements come for this, but I don't remember which one it was. That one. So as you see, there's a fall intake and a test demo. Great. He's got two offerings which are eligible for students. I'm going to designate this institution. Finishing up on that, time check, 10:34, designation, and I'm going to approve it. At this point, I'm going to put a start date for, I won't go back to last program year, but say that's the classic example there. I'm going to put a date, whoops. And you'll see this one is checked. At this point, when you're approving a designation, you can reapprove it, and you can basically pick any of the ones that you want to be designated. So if I hit this and I go approved, checked, program, and location info, and I'm going to submit. You can now see this is approved. They are now approved for designation and they request a designation. Going through, if, for example, they added an institution or something like that and needed it added, there are different ways to do it. An institution could go request a new designation from their side, but you can also go reapprove a designation here and add locations, just as you please, reapproving with Alys haircutting salon. And you will see that this one's been added. It was not asked for, but it was approved. Can also see that this goes back to the notes. And you can see that, just ignore those. That was me testing this morning. Designation approved and reapproving to add this. I can also decline all institutions. I can also remove ones, locations that fall under a certain designation. Decline all. So now I just decline this. This agreement is now declined. And at this point, the institution has to re-request it to start the process again. Awesome. One other thing we did that we haven't shown since September is on the student side. We had talked about PD status. This button did exist back in April, but when we had made some UI changes, we didn't add it back. So at this point, you can see here permanent disability status has not been requested for the student. You can click apply for PD and apply. The endpoint there for ATBC in their test environment is not up and running right now, so we will get that error, and that is intended. At this point, that would be now pending. Once we get a response back from them, that would be approved, and then when they start their application. That was one thing that we did this sprint as well. And one other one is the file uploader. So this file uploader, as you can probably tell if you're familiar with our current one in production, is very, very similar. It is nearly identical. You can pick your document purpose, so application, verification, field identity. You can put in an application number or not, and you can upload a file, collection notice, hit submit, and you can view your uploaded documents here. I can run through what it would look like super quick. So I'm just going to add a text file here. And I'm going to, oops, I didn't pick a document purpose. Let's go verification, sure. Submit, great, and you can now see it here. Awesome. I am going to just check my list. Again, I do apologize for going quickly. I am just trying to get through as much as possible. If it is a request, we can always do a longer, slower one and just send out a recording to everyone. So feedback is always appreciated about what would work best to see the information.
Yeah.
Checking my list, create an institution, create a location, create a program, create an offering, apply for, as again, most of this has been demoed over the past 6 months, 8 months. So I was glazing over certain topics. Create institution, designation, PD document, upload proof for designation, create student account, validate SIN, create student application, draft and submit complete PIR. Parent and partner, unfortunately, that will take probably 30 minutes in itself minimum to go through. Do assessment, confirm NOA, confirm enrollment again, and create disbursement files. Create disbursement files is what I was mentioning. There's not really a way to demo it, just knowing that when a file goes out and we don't have the response file yet for the feds in place. Just gonna have a quick sync through the chat. I have another 6 minutes if there was something that I went too fast on, which is probably all of it. But is there any trends?
Thanks everyone for all the questions. We're just collating them all on our mural board.
Yes, I do see what you're meaning, Vivian. It is hard when we're trying to demo 3 to 5 because you could have parent and partners in there as well. Different parties that would be doing a chunk of work that relates to all the same thing. I didn't say this, but I did actually try to create little backgrounds on each of these just on my own computer here for my students were blue and then my institutions are orange to try and help do the actions. It does say up here in the top corner, one's the institution, one's the student, and one just says AESD. Yeah, is there anything there, Irena, that you can maybe think of that I went way too fast on? It was a lot of information.
It was a lot of information, and thank you very much, Andrew, because this was a high-level overview of what we did. So there are, as Andrew mentioned, there are a lot of details that we can go in. So I know that Alys worked hard with you guys, and there are end-to-end scenarios right now on YouTube. That's something so we try to, with this demo, we try to support these end-to-end scenarios so we have a whole picture. But if you would like us to do, as Andrew mentioned, if you would like us to do a detailed demo, we can do that. we can record that session and then make it available for all of you. Thank you, Andrew, very, very much.
No problem.
Thank you,
So
Schwenker.
I'll pass it back to you, Teresa. You can take the screen if you want, or just
Sounds great.
go off this if you like.
Let's see. Your request for control was not accepted.
You're sharing.
It's working. Okay. Thank you. So quick overview of our next sprint. Oh, Stephanie, you have a question?
Just a quick question. I have no access to the chat today, which is a first ever. And I wonder if it's because I'm external that I'm excluded from the chat.
Yeah, it's a good question. We've got a few people with the same problem.
Okay.
So we will look into that. Thank you.
Nothing has been changed since the last one, but maybe if you're not able to send or post questions, if you're able to maybe IM or email either myself, Irena, or Alys, and we'll make sure your question gets in there.
Sure, and just a reminder, we also have the mod email box, so
yes,
mod@gov.bc.ca, and also the mural, which you can't see the link for because it's in the chat. But it's also on the mural for the demo. So should be able to access that. But if you have any problems, just let me know and we'll get you sorted.
Yeah, and Stephanie, I can email you that link as well. Okay, so Sprint 26 goals. This is a forecast of what we're going to be doing. We have our sprint planning later today, so this may change a little bit, but we'll have a bit of setup happening again for reassessments, a bit more setup for the QA. Reassessment development work will continue, and we know that's something that touches all of our users. On the institution side, we'll also get into editing institution details for students, the message center, and some common components that affect both students and ministry users. And then on the ministry side, editing institution details and viewing assessments. As Irena mentioned, we're going to start testing next sprint, and we're going to start bug reporting. So that should be interesting. And on the design side, we're integrating some of the feedback we received from GDX yesterday on accessibility. So those are some of the things we'll be working on. It's almost 10:45, so that leaves a lot of time for questions. We've captured some of them here. Thank you very much, Lynn, for your help with that. Irena, how would you like to proceed? We've kind of got different categories, so technical designations, ministry, notice of assessment, restrictions, etc. Do you?
Alys is our business lead, and she will be taking business questions for sure, and the team can take technical questions.
Okay, shall we start with questions around designations, maybe?
Sure.
Yep.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'll put my video back on. Oh. So first one, when you're adding a location to an already designated, when you add a new location trigger a designation application? No, it does not. So could we show that functionality there? And this is where, just a reminder for folks, we've been working with the feature owners and the team leads to identify all of the business processes. And we're going to have a series of meetings to go through and make sure that you have a process flow, that you've seen how it's going to be done, all that kind of stuff. So if we don't get to your question today, it's coming. So when you add, so what you saw Andrew move through very quickly was new institution comes in and provides a whole bunch of information for designation. And they've gone through that, and then the ministry user has to decide, are we going to designate them or not, and have it move to designated status. And during that process, they select which locations is the decision to designate. So let's say there's 3 locations and the institution has asked for 2 of them to be designated, but the ministry user actually is only designating 1 because they've done a review and they only meet the eligibility criteria for 1. So they've done that. What we have talked about is the ability for if 6 months later, institution then creates a new location and they want it to be added to designation, then the ministry user is going to have to go back to that little box that talks about which areas are approved for designation, and they're going to have to tick off that particular one and resubmit. And that will then move that location there. So nothing happens automatically. The question which is coming up, and we're seeing it in some other places, are how do I know that it's there then, that I need to do something with it? And those are some things that we're still sorting out. There's still a open ticket, you'll see in the big spreadsheet, an open ticket for how does a ministry user get notified about a document being uploaded, and similarly to what if a school goes in and ticks a location that they now want designated. How do we know about it? So we're going to have to sort that through, and we're going to talk about it in our individual session, because at this point for MVP, I think they're going to know about it because we're going to need to tell the school. They have to tell us. You can't just do all of that stuff.
Okay.
Alys, I think Phil has a question specifically related to your response on that one.
Sure. Great.
Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, I just want to have a quick thing about the adding a location. So I did just go into the test site because everything kind of moved quick, and I just wanted to confirm before I even brought it up. But it looks like when you, so if they're already designated and you hit add a new location, what it does is it brings up a whole bunch of fields, but mainly just add the location, its address, and a primary contact. But at the very top, it asks for, and which is a mandatory field, for an institution code. Now, how does the system then account for locations who have never been designated in Canada before and do not have a 4-digit code? Because anytime you add a location, that location requires its own specific unique code and must meet all of our policy manual eligibility criteria before we even issue them a 4-digit code. So they have to have at least one program that is on site that meets our criteria. They're all of their institution, like when they were established, what jurisdiction they're in, stuff about the regulatory body, all of that needs to be viewed first before we get a code.
They need to fill out an application. That's what you're saying.
Yes, because in the BC public world, we afford them, we basically say if you have satellites here and there, you're all part of one institution code. But for everyone else, BC privates and the rest of the world, every location needs a specific code, and each location needs to submit a designation application before they're even approved to be able to do anything in our system. And the way it's kind of built here, I do not see that connection, and I can't see how that works.
Okay, so Katie, we've asked Katie to schedule some sessions, starting with the institution and program team, to go through each of the processes. Sounds like this one in particular we should flag as one of the first processes to go through, because maybe there's a missing requirement. And that's fine. If we identify something, we need to identify it and then prioritize it, and we'll have to follow a process to have it added to scope. So it's not a problem. This isn't going to be the only thing we miss. That's the whole point of this, is to capture it, right?
Sure.
So that's exactly why we're going to go through it. So thanks for flagging that, and we'll schedule that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yep. So why aren't the signing officer fields using drop down? And that's a good question. So right now, folks that have been in the CRM, what you're noticing is that you can actually select from a list. And the reason you can't select from a list anymore is that we have not linked the signing officer to a BCEID, or pardon me, BCEID user. So that's why it's not a list. It's a free text field. So we can't show you a list. That's why it's not a drop-down menu.
Okay.
So will all institutions be required to sign a designation agreement? So the policy hasn't changed yet. You know I'm working on it, but hasn't changed yet. And so right now, it could just be a bit of test data that you're seeing, because it sounds as though it's an international institution, but it's requiring a designation agreement. That shouldn't be happening, because we do have a validation link to only private, but it could well be that there's an international address, but the type of institution is private. So we'll have to take a look at that. And again, let's go through it, but I'm guessing it's a test data error rather than a system error, because I know we talked about this and we've checked a few things. So, but let's check it when we go through our processes.
Yeah.
We're doing it with the team, right? Because you guys can go down to that level of detail.
Yeah. And just so you know as well, the reason behind this question as well was also because there's certain legal entities that have locations in several jurisdictions across Canada. So you'll have one legal entity that owns a location in BC, but also owns a location in Alberta, in Ontario, etc. So, you know, if we have that legal entity at the top and they put the location for BC, then it has to have the designation agreement part. If it's the other one, it just needs to go through the designation application and not have to sign a designation agreement. That's also why
So let's double check that then, because
Sure.
I remember we have an acceptance criteria. I believe it's correct. Maybe it's not, but let's go in and take a look at that and make sure, because it should be driven off the institution type, have nothing to do with the address.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's check. Okay. Ministry NOA. So
Ministry NOA?
Ministries, or when viewing a student application, where can we see a full, so what's a full assessment breakdown? I don't know, I think that might be Jeremy. What's a full, what does that look like? What's a full assessment breakdown?
Yeah, so in SFAS currently we have the assessment summary screen where you can go in and it gives, you know, we do our assessment costs minus resources equals needs. So that's the screen that shows a full breakdown of everything to do with the student's application on how we did their assessment. So it gives us whether the student's living at home, whether they have a spouse, you know, family size, parental contribution, fixed student contribution, you know, living allowance, tuition, books, everything, and then breaks it all down so that when students call and ask us questions about, you know, why they're getting what they are, we have all of the information to be able to answer those questions.
So we do have that, obviously. It's a very technical screen though, right, Andrew? That's the assessment breakdown with all the questions, and like it's that hard to read screen, but that's not inside the system. We haven't built a view for people to see that at this point.
Yeah, that's just how it's being calculated. What'll be up and coming over the next few sprints, likely with the reassessment chunk, is sort of like the reassessment not reassessment, but like the assessment history of an application. Each time it gets assessed, the information that was used and the information that was provided, like in the awards and stuff provided.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not there, and but we'll look to it as we're building out the reassessment to find a way. And I hear you saying, and we need to make sure that we have those acceptance criteria about what is it that you need to be able to see. So let's make sure that we have that conversation about what is it that you need to be able to see in order to support students. Okay. How is a ministry, I referred to this earlier. So right now, how is a ministry user notified? So student goes in, they upload a document completely separate from their application. How's a user notified? Don't know yet. That's something that has yet to be built. It's on our list, and we're going to sort that out. But it's a good question, and we know we need to figure that one out. So don't know yet. We'll come back to you. Confirmation of enrollment. So there was a concern that we're confirming enrollment when a student has a restriction. So currently no confirmation. So student has a restriction, and a restriction at this point stops everything from moving forward. So what you're saying is that we didn't see anything that would stop an institution from confirming that enrollment. Yeah, I'm not aware that we have any requirements in the system that would stop an institution from confirming. Even if they confirm, we wouldn't be paying them in any way. There'd be no disbursement until that restriction is resolved. But so I'm going to flag this for, maybe we need to flag this for our discussion with the restrictions group. Is that an acceptance criteria that's needed? Because I don't believe it's been identified as of yet. And is there a restriction check during the application? So during the application, could you clarify what during means?
Oh, that's my question. So I saw there is a check for the PD status. My understanding is we need to pull some information from SFAS to make sure all of the restriction will be catched properly. So just wondering.
Right. So this is that conversation about transition, right? So we have talked about the idea that information in SFAS is not going to pre-populate in the new system. But when a student applies to create an account, there is going to be a check against a data repository and some information will be brought in, as you said. A good example is the PD status. If there is an existing restriction, then that would be another example that would need to be shown on the existing or on the newly created account. Have I captured that correctly, Andrew? That existing restrictions in SFAS will show in the new system during that check.
Yeah, that part hasn't been done yet, but likely,
Right.
I believe in the transition document, it's currently noted that on account creation, what'll happen is like the restrictions will be read, or if a restrictions added in SFAS, we'll get that information and update the student's account on getting it. That's not to do with the application itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. So we'll skip the technical one for now. Someone said it's confusing. I'm not sure if you're referring to the process, but so maybe just for summary, because we're almost out of time as well, is so just to remind folks, so we are working with each of the team leads from a service delivery perspective, and we have not forgotten, and this relates to the technical question, that there are technical needs, that there are technical users. And technical users also need to be able to see and do certain things, and there's some work to be done there. So we are working with each of the team leads in service delivery. We've identified what are all the tasks that you need to do, and we're going to work with each of those team leads and the teams to make sure that over the next, it's going to take us weeks and months, but that you have a really clear process flow of how that work's going to be done, where that work is done. And then we can practice doing different things, and as much as possible, you can see what of that work is being done in the new system if it's been built. There's a few areas that haven't been built yet, but a lot of it has been, so we can go in and start looking at it piece by piece. And would certainly encourage folks to talk to their team leads and feature owners now. Folks have access to the test environments, and so you could go in and just do, even if it's just a 5-minute play around, or take a look at the YouTube videos to say, hey, what does that look like? And there's more and more of that information, particularly from a ministry user perspective. Historically, it was focused on student and institution user, but there's more there for ministry users, so can sign into the test environment and see. I'm going to stop because we're probably out of time.
Fantastic. Phil, I just want to ask Phil, do you have another question, or is that your?
It was kind of just a quick follow-up on the signing officer question that was in the designation area. Because I think because what we were understanding is when they go to fill out the designation agreement, they choose their eligibility and enrollment signing officers. They're directly tied to roles, like what they can do, like confirmation of enrollment or PIRs. So we were understanding that they could pick from a drop-down menu of the actual users that are listed in the manage user section, and then they could pick which ones. Just because what we've kind of seen is there could be a mismatch of information, I guess you could say, when they type in free text. So just wanted to just a clarity on that one, if that's like a future enhancement or if it's something that we're building for MVP or
sure,
or where that stands.
Yeah, let's talk about it, but I totally understand where you guys are coming from, because that's also how you have it now. But yeah, at this point, that's not the build, so we can talk about whether it's something in the future.
Great. Okay. Unless there, yeah, go ahead,
If it's
Schwenker.
okay there, at least because I know Irena can't
Yeah.
see the chat there, just to address sort of the technical question there, if it's okay.
Yeah.
The question about error and log codes, information relating to the error code. So there are different logs as part of different systems. One of the main things that the platform uses is a product called Cabana. It's basically a thing to monitor the logs in things running in OpenShift itself. So with that word, you should be able to find it on the Dev Exchange website, which if you are, I didn't quite see who asked that, but if you would like the link, I can always just forward you the link for that product and you can see it. That's where the majority of things are, like especially like API related failures and that kind of stuff. But depending on what the issue is, it could be in a different place.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Schwenker. Okay. Unless there are any other questions, I suggest we wrap it up and give you back a bit of time.
Thank you guys very much for today's session. I know it was a quick demo, could be a little bit confusing. We tried to give you the overview of what is happening, of the workflow that we have currently in the system. We have so much more to work, like so much more work in front of us, but we'll do that and we'll show you what we did every time. So moving forward, we'll go back to the same demos that we had previously. So we'll be showing to you everything that was developed in that particular sprint. This time we wanted to show you, excuse me, end to end. Please take the opportunity to visit YouTube channels. You have end-to-end scenarios over there as well. Let us know if you would appreciate us to record a session, like detailed overview, we'll do that. Whatever we can do to help you have a better understanding and for us to be transparent. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone.